Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Revolutionary Baddies podcast. I'm your host. My name is Dee Dee.
And I am your host, Brittany.
And we are hitting you with season 2, episode 17.
Wow.
We moving through these episodes.
Forward.
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 Wow. Beyonce kind of reset herself with that one.
Man, she did it.
Yeah, that was the Lemonade album. But yeah, we're pushing through. We're pushing through. We are going all the way to 26 episodes for this season.
Whew.
And this is number 30 total.
Right.
We have 30 episodes out.
30.
What a blessing. What a blessing. So thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for supporting us. Thank you for sharing our podcast. We do not actually do any ads. We don't do any ads. We don't pay for any sponsorships.
No.
We don't pay for commercials. These are real brains.
Mm-hmm.
Not AI.
No.
Real brains that's generating these episodes. So we want to thank y'all for supporting us along the way.
Yeah. It's been a journey. We are, by the time you all will hear this episode, we will have achieved our 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
We are on the cusp of 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has been such an endeavor to produce 30 episodes of relevant information in the midst of so many other things. So I'm just incredibly grateful that this work is out here, that it resonates with people. My favorite thing now is people saying, "Oh my God, I've listened to the podcast."
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing.
Absolutely.
I'm like, tell me more. What do you love? What do you want to hear?
What did you hear? Like, what did you agree with?
Yes.
Yes. We want to know.
Yeah.
We want to know. So we want to encourage y'all to leave comments. Answer the questions. A lot of times when I talk to people about our podcast and people listen to it, sometimes people be like, well, maybe y'all should have this person on. Maybe you want to get another opinion, that kind of thing. And yeah, give other opinions in the comments. That's what that's for.
That's where we can engage.
Yeah, we will respond because we're trying to build community, right? Like the podcast is just one aspect of the Revolutionary Baddies universe. It's a universe.
I think that, I love a good debate. That's actually one of my favorite things on earth to do, is to go back and forth. But I think that there is something about delivering information that doesn't have a sense of being antagonized. Yeah. And I think in the digital age, the internet age, we're becoming used to kind of seeing these roundtable discussions. Like CNN is famous for it, or like when I was growing up, I was an MSNBC girly. They would have it's pretty much a liberal station, a liberal panel. And then you're going to have that one Republican on it. Yeah. It used to be Tucker Carlson. He's not new to this. I want y'all to know, if people are just now being introduced to Tucker Carlson. He's been that person that's like, okay, I'm going to shake up the table. Yeah. And I can appreciate platforms that give different perspectives in a very curated way. But I think what's important about our podcast is we are trying to deliver factual information,
stuff that has been researched
by researchers,
data,
by scientists, social scientists, actual people who've committed their life to this.
Historians,
right? So of course we have our own spin on it. We talk about our own opinions and perspectives, and of course anything that you approach is going to be from your own lens. But I appreciate that our platform is not about, can me and Dee Dee disagree or agree or go toe to toe on a subject, or
or showing all sides, whatever that means.
I
actually don't need that.
It's not necessary.
I don't need an all sides conversation about every topic.
because if you actually research, you'll see multiple perspectives within the research. But sometimes data is data. Mm-hmm. Historical events are historical events.
Yeah.
First person accounts are just that. And it doesn't have to be nuanced and debated.
Well, it is nuanced.
Right.
That's the thing.
That in itself, right, is nuanced. But people are like, let's, and it's not necessary.
Yeah.
So, no guests on the show. We say all that to say.
We do say all that to say. And people should engage in the other podcasts or shows, commentary that gives multiple sides if you need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you need that. I don't need that.
But if you do want to discuss
and if you want to discuss with us,
debate, get in the comments.
Yeah, I want to hear the other sides.
I would love to. And I would love to know what your reference is. I went to a book club last week. I went to the No Name Book Club. Shout out to them. The Durham chapter. And we were talking about Wretched of the Earth. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about pretty much violent revolutions, nonviolent revolutions versus violent revolutions. And a woman who was there said that she had read this book about the power or statistics about nonviolent revolutions, and that the author of this book researched different revolutions, and that the ones that were nonviolent had a 60% more chance of success or sustainability. I told her, so the group was kind of, discussing what she had to say. And I told her I would be very interested to know who wrote that book. Yeah. I would love to see it. Because even researchers...
Nonviolent revolutions in the
world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, I would be very interested to know who wrote that, right? Because that's another part about doing research is knowing who the researchers are for the material you're reading. Yeah. And not that I could disagree because I hadn't read the book, but I don't even know of that many nonviolent revolutions for there to be data about that 60%, they were 60% more successful than violent uprisings and revolutions.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, yeah, but I am curious as to who wrote it, and I think I got the name, and I would have to look into that myself.
Yeah, there's a research organization called the Center for Nonviolent Action or the Center for Nonviolent Research, one of those.
Yeah,
but that sounds like where that might have been from. I feel like I've seen that statistic as it relates to just the conversation around, do we engage in nonviolent demonstration or nonviolent civil resistance versus in quotations, guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
Those tend to be the two sides that the conversation leans on, as if it's a spectrum, but it's not really a spectrum. It's more of a Venn diagram.
That's what I actually told her. I said, what she may not have realized is that when you have, like in South Africa, when you have these political parties that practice nonviolence resistance, there was often an underground layer to their political party that was doing armed resistance. And then someone else brought up in the book, this nonviolent stuff will get you killed, which talks about that book is not really about,
shout out to Charlie Cobb,
right? Not about per se the armed resistance, but it was really about the organizing power of the freedom movement.
And how it protected.
Right. And that armed people protected them to be able to do the most powerful work, which was the nonviolent work. So I told her, I said, we have even, I think in colonial societies, we have false binaries. That's my thing. It's always this or that. You're a woman or man, gay or straight, good or bad, violent or nonviolent. And that's just not how things actually work. So to kind of help her understand it, I said, we have a Secretary of War, Pete's bitch ass. And then we have the Secretary of State. Both have the same goal
Right.
One handles the armed form of it and one handles the diplomatic form of it.
Mm-hmm.
But they both go meet in a boardroom, discuss what their end goal is, and then they both operate through different means.
Yeah, but make decisions together.
So I told her, I said, it's not always violent versus not violent. So anyway, I say all that to say, look at what you're reading. Look at the researchers.
Yeah. Check out our description notes.
Hello, Dee is doing phenomenal work linking all of these things.
I'm trying to keep the people informed, and also because again, what some of the reflections that I've gotten from people that, they might listen to one episode and they're like, well, it seems like you and Brittany, y'all just kind of agree on a lot of the same things. And it's like, well, yeah, we do. But it's definitely not everything. And a lot of the stuff we don't know until we talk through it, like literally while recording. But also because our commentary is backed up by facts. Mm-hmm. We actually do read.
Yeah.
We really do. And the books that we put that I link, articles, movies, films, documentaries, reports.
Yeah.
I link all kind of stuff, like, because I really, really want people to understand that we are not just talking from our opinions. This is not just a woman. This is not a girl talk. Well, this is girl talk.
But it is.
This is the real girl talk.
My opinion is that these niggas should suck my toes. That's not backed by anything other than my lived experience.
Right.
The research would say, I don't know, it's a lot of different things. So we can get into some things about gender roles, hygiene, whatever. But yeah, so those are the things that we girl kiki on.
Yeah.
The Wallies.
Right. Yeah. I'm saying all of this to say that there are things to reference.
Yes.
Our opinions and kind of where they came from. Both on our lived experience, which we think is incredibly important and is also part of the truth.
Yes.
It's part of the truth. And we also read other people's experiences. We're reading biographies, autobiographies, research, all kinds of shit that really helps not make an argument, but just give some grounding to what the hell we're talking about. So again, we want to thank y'all for tuning in, listening. Please, if you have another take, if there's something that we didn't fully elaborate, and we should elaborate more on, please, and let us know in the comments. And if there's books, research, articles that we're missing, we want to hear those too.
Absolutely. I love learning more. I love, there are moments where I'm pretty set on something. I'm like, this is that. And then I read a little bit more and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's always about being open to learning. And we'll get into how important that is. Me and Dee just had a debate. Speaking of debates, we just had a debate right before we started recording with some man at a bar. Because we're recording in Queenies. Shout out to Queenies. So we'll get into that as we get into today's subject.
Mm-hmm. But I'm excited about this topic.
Yes.
It's a challenging one to cover in the time that we have. So please know that we will likely have to do a part 2 or something more specific. Maybe. We've touched on this topic, but this is our first kind of deep dive.
Yeah. This subject is a bit of a spin the block because we did touch on it during our Black August series last year.
True.
And so we are in ways bringing it back. But the episode last season, we kind of incorporated multiple things talking about abolition, the history of it. But we're going to focus more on prison abolition, prison conditions, policing. Like Dee just said, this is something that we could talk about for an entire season, honestly.
Yeah.
And it honestly deserves a lot of discussion and a lot of attention to it, because I would argue that the prison issue here in America is one of the biggest human rights issues of our times.
Yeah, for sure.
And we have become a bit disconnected from it because it's become so normalized. We were born into the generation where mass incarceration, if you're a millennial, was already underway.
Yeah.
And Cops was the show of the 90s. I love Cops. Bad Boys, we know it, right? The movie, like Bad Boys, coming from that. And so I think it's going to be a big effort on behalf of our generation and the generations behind us to really reevaluate this whole prison system.
Yeah,
and the solutions and what prison abolition even is.
Yeah.
All right, but before we jump into the heaviness of this topic, Didi, how you doing?
I am doing well. I was away last week for work. Lots of days of work. Like, it was just from Friday to Friday, pretty much every day. And like in meetings, not just like doing work on my computer like I would normally do here. It's like all day trainings and meetings. And so I just haven't, this weekend was my time to kind of just try to slow it on down before the week picks back up. But I am over the moon, first of all, because the Philadelphia 76ers have, first of all, forced a Game 7 against the Celtics, which is one of our rivals. Like, really, them and the Knicks are like the rivals, but, they're one of our rivals. And we have not beat them in a Game 7 playoff since the 80s.
Wow.
Since Dr. J days.
Wow.
And so they won last night in wherever the Celtics play. It was their home. Game 7. We won. So I'm happy. I'm
okay.
My team made it. So yeah, that's me.
That'll do it.
I'm good for the weekend. How are you? How you been, Brittany?
I've been pretty good. I'm ready for like the consistent weather because I can consistently cut up. So I'm ready to get into spring and summer and the things. I booked a vacation. I have not been on an airplane since 2024.
Wow.
It'll be 2 years since mommy has had some time to herself. So just booking the flight lifted my spirits significantly.
You booked it.
It's booked.
Love that.
It's high as hell. I'm not even going to go on my rant right now about what's going on with these airlines and these prices.
It's a crime.
It's a crime.
Yeah.
Shut it down.
Yeah.
But I am grateful to have my little spot on that plane, and I'm going to Puerto Rico. I can't wait to get there and cut up.
Puerto Rican.
I'm definitely getting me a new wig. And I'm gonna be looking rockin'. Afro rockin'. So I'm excited to get there and just cut up, get into some mischief. So I'm planning that because time moves pretty fast.
Yeah.
And so I'm in good spirits.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
Need that.
Yeah.
Need that. Can't wait to see what Poppy is gonna be my boo for the weekend.
That's what you're looking for.
Absolutely. As soon as I touch down.
Where you at?
Where they at? I'm just looking for a friend.
Donde.
Oh yeah, look, y'all. When I go out of town, I take my little few phrases of another language. When I go to Miami, I be trying to, ça passe. If someone tell me they Haitian, comment allez-vous? They French. I cut up. So nice girls' weekend.
Yeah,
leaving the babes behind.
Yeah. Happy for you.
Yeah. So getting into this subject, let's start by saying me and Didi have already had a lively discussion before we stepped in the studio. Because as I just mentioned, we're at Queenie's where we record, and I was sitting at the bar enjoying my little French fries and a little sparkling wine, talking to the bartender, a black man, and he said, "What y'all recording on today?" And I said, "We're doing prison abolition." Well, per huge, a white man is sitting at the bar. Here he go. Prison abolition. Well, what are we going to do with all the bad people? What are we going to do? So I asked him, I said, do you have an imagination?
First question.
Do you dream? I dream of better things than what we have. And so he was like, it's just a real question. I hear abolition, it means the end of it. So what I tried to explain to him, who was unwilling to listen, but wanted to engage in debate, which is why you can't debate with everybody.
No,
because debates can actually be very fruitful.
If you listen.
If the parties have the right intentions.
Yeah, right.
All parties involved, right? But I pretty much was saying, what I think is one of the misconceptions about abolition, whether it's policing, prison, which is kind of one and the same, is that people don't understand it's a very expansive framework. Of course. It's not about tomorrow, fire all the police officers. Yeah. Tomorrow, open all the prison doors and let the people out and don't put another person in. That's not the work of abolitionists. Mm-hmm. What abolition is about being visionary and having the audacity to say we can have something completely new. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not to say we can just be without certain services.
Right.
But what do they have to look like what they look like today? And the answer is they don't.
They really don't. They don't look like it in other countries.
Hello. That's what people do not understand.
Let's start there. Yeah, that's easy research.
Easy.
Literally easy research.
So quick statistic, which I proposed to, let's call him Dan. Dan at the bar. I said, let's talk about crime. I said, abolition work is about preventing crime, stopping crime. I said, so what causes crime, Dan? Well, bad people. I said, okay, all right. What else? What else you got? Well. I said, you got to read, Dan. You got to study, man. Because it's out there.
Yeah.
That information's out there. I said, let's talk about poverty. And so anyway, we have this banter, but I pretty much said, why is America 5% of the world's population, the amount of people here in America, yet we hold 25% of the imprisoned population? Mm-hmm. That shows that the rest of the world, billions of people, have found another way to deal with crime other than mass incarceration.
Yeah.
And the style in which that we have it here per capita. So it's a lot to understand about abolition. And I think that that's the best way to approach it, is to understand that it's about more than just ending something.
Mm-hmm. It is about building something. That's always been what it's about.
That's revolution.
and obviously the comparison is to the abolition of slavery. Which Dan referenced. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, technically we didn't abolish slavery.
Hello.
So let's start there.
There's that.
And of course, he didn't know that. In his mind, and in a lot of people's mind, in my mind, before I started reading some things, I thought slavery was actually abolished. And that's not true. It's actually the non-expansion of slavery that is what the Constitution actually updated. But slavery still exists within our country.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Through prisons.
When the Emancipation Proclamation came out, it was not an automatic release for enslaved persons.
Right.
There's that.
It was 1, 2, 3, release them.
It wasn't. And it took the Constitution to add the 13th Amendment, which included the loophole. Mm-hmm. So the 13th Amendment was ratified on December 6, 1865, and it officially abolished slavery. So not Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, but this constitutional amendment officially abolished slavery and involuntary servitude throughout the United States, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party has been duly convicted. So slavery was transformed from something that, okay, we can't have chattel slavery anymore. We can only have slavery through criminality.
Right.
And that is why we have prisons today.
Yeah.
Because when they had to go to that drawing board during Reconstruction, they said, we can't, like Paul Mooney said, that just wasn't part of the plan.
It wasn't part of the plan. We can't just get rid of slavery all the way. We got to find a way.
Gotta find a way. So, okay. They have to be criminals. So what Dan was missing as I asked him these questions of why do we have so much crime? We've had to create a system of criminality.
Right.
To funnel people back into slavery.
Multiple times. I'm not the best person to debate
right.
with, especially some stupid white man at the bar. That I don't have them kind of skills. So I just chimed in my little ad libs. I was like, you gotta read. You gotta read. You're not reading.
We was tag teaming the hell out of them.
We really was.
I personally, maybe I have a kink for being mean to niggas, but I love debating with Dan.
Yeah.
He made my day.
Had to leave him a little disheveled.
Lashing. First of all, shout out to all the people who walked so I could run, so I could talk to a white man like that at the bar. I literally told Dan as I walked off, I said, Dan, learn 5 facts and holler at me. Then you can talk to me. I love that shit. Boy.
Yeah.
But for real though, Dan needed to learn and read. I had a book in my hand as he interrupted me talking to the bartender.
Right.
I said, Dan, get you one of these, baby.
He said, and he was like, but that's only showing one side. I said, sometimes it's only one side.
Sometimes it's facts. I said, Dan, I said, is there a moon? Or is that someone's perspective? He was like, it's a moon. There we go. That's a starting place. We have established
but
facts.
He did ask a question to us too. He was like, okay, abolish prisons. What's the first step? I said, reading. Learning some shit. Yeah. You gotta learn. He's like, okay, I read. And we was like, just stay there.
He reads the New York Times section about tech development. Dan, yeah, you don't know.
Might read a little Rich Dad, Poor Dad, some dumb shit like that.
He ain't even read that.
He ain't. Cliff Notes.
That's it. He reads the caption under Pornhub right before he clicked play.
Then he tried to add Trump into the mix some kind of way.
I think I actually did. Okay. It was me. I threw Trump out there. I'm like, well, he was like, well, people who do crimes go to prison. I said, or they could become president. And he was like, he wasn't convicted. I said, wow, Dan. So once again, I said, you got that phone right there. You can easily verify this information.
Yeah.
He grabbed his phone.
He was in fact convicted.
And it sizzled his hand. He put it down before he would even search it because he didn't want to absorb the information.
Yeah. He didn't want to know.
And when we started talking about white collar crimes, he was like, well, I mean, come on.
He said nobody goes to prison for those things. I was like, so that's not how that works. And that is not true. Dan, what do you mean?
Dan.
What do you mean nobody goes to jail for a felony?
Yeah.
What?
He was like, I mean, but the people who he did the fraud with said he didn't do it. Okay. Not the jury of his peers. Then. Yeah. There we go. And so that's what it comes down to. Who deserves to be behind prison walls?
Yeah.
And who doesn't? And that's really, it's the fear of what do we do with these dangerous black and brown and a few sprinkles of poor white people if we don't have these gates and chains and doors and walls up?
Yeah.
That's at the heart of it.
Yeah.
It's people, what do we do with the thugs?
Yeah. I mean, I've said this before and I'll say it till eternity. We do not have a criminal justice system. We have a capitalist system that determines who gets punished and who does not. Mm-hmm. And most of that is based on racial capitalism. That is what it's based on.
That's it.
And that's how it's grown over centuries.
Yeah.
Especially in this country. This country would not be what it is without a system of slavery to exist.
Hello.
That's part of the make of it. And so this is why abolition is so important, because eventually the prison system will shape. It'll grow with the change, because that's what capitalism helps it to do. It helps it to morph and stay alive in its archaic state, but it kind of match the time that it's in.
Yeah.
And that is why abolition is so critical, because it helps us to imagine, what if we didn't have this? How do we deal with violence and crime on a smaller level in a way that helps to impact the system, but also on a systemic level and how it impacts us as individuals?
Yeah. And we see the expansion through ICE.
Yeah.
Through the detention of immigrants. We have people who are being held for 6, 7 months, 9 months, a year, and then released. Yeah. They were never charged with a crime, picked up because of, their immigration status, and held.
Right.
And then released or deported or held to the point that they agreed to self-deport themselves.
Right.
And what that is that the prison industry, like in a capitalist society, is always going to turn into a for-profit system. So we do have state prisons that are, and federal prisons that are maintained by government budgets. And then we do have private prisons who come in as contractors with the government. And often they have quotas to say, like, if I'm going to build this prison and handle incarceration for you, you have to make sure that 85% of the beds are occupied. And so that is an incentive to keep criminality alive as a major element in society, because now these for-profit prisons who are giving kickbacks to politicians on both sides need prisoners. So we have to increase policing to find quote unquote criminals. Yeah. And when you understand that it's all a part of this capitalistic enterprise, you see that it doesn't have the validity that we believe that these prisons have. Yeah. Or that there are American private prison companies putting prisons in Africa, putting prisons in Latin America, funding them, constructing them, all so that they can make profit.
It's all for money. It's all for money. One thing about when you decide to build a prison or expand a facility of a prison, you got to fill it. That's the point.
That's you.
And who you think they gonna fill it with?
Us.
They filling it with us,
and
they gonna figure out a way to do so.
Despite the fact that over the past 30 years, violent crime rates have significantly gone down. Now, it might not feel like that if you are in a community that's experiencing levels of violence. Yeah. But once again, data and facts matter, right? And so this information is tracked. And violent crime is going down, yet incarceration rates are continuing to stay at a steady level and increase, which means that it is not about putting bad people away. Yeah. It is about finding people, deeming them bad. Yes. And then putting them into the prisons.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can look at the criminalization of homelessness over the past several decades, and the growth in criminalizing homelessness in so many different ways. So alone, just in, and this is coming from this book, The End of Policing by Alex Vitale. And he talks about this study on the criminalization of homelessness and the expansion of different bans in multiple cities. And from 2011 to 2014, the bans on camping, so camping in public, camping in specific areas, increased by 60%. And begging is criminalized in 25% of the cities that was part of this study. It wasn't every city across the country, but it was a large percentage, and obviously some of the major cities that have significant amounts of homelessness: New York, LA, Seattle, those parts. That a 25% increase in begging is criminalized. So they get tickets that they can't pay, and then it forces this cycle of in and out, in and out, in and out of the court system in a way that that helps to meet that quota that we were talking about. And so it is unfortunate to think about how insidious this system and pervasive the system is, but it is the reality, y'all. It really is. There are I feel like it's such a challenging conversation, especially in the Black community, because we face a lot of trauma and a lot of violence. And in a lot of ways, we grow up believing that people are deserving of the punishments that they receive by our criminal justice system, without actually taking a look at how throughout our entire environment, it has made it easier for people to see a court, see a jail, see a prison before they see a college campus, before they see a university, before they see opportunities in trade or any of that. This is the reality that we're in.
So some statistics that resonate with that is that 1 out of 10 Black men between the ages of 20 to 40 years old have been incarcerated. And in 2010, 1 out of 3 of all Black male high school dropouts between the ages of 20 and 39 were in prison, compared to only 13% of their white peers.
Right.
So we see that, and we see all these ills in our community, but we have to have the ability to zoom out and see the larger picture. And I think that some of the debates that I see are on such a micro level.
Narrow.
And if you cannot zoom out of the entire situation and see it as a part of a system that has been identified, right? Capitalism is not like this fable or mythological thing that's going on, right?
Yeah, right.
It is a system. Then we can actually see what Black on Black crime is really about, right? That it is this falsehood, because you are going to commit crimes within a certain distance of your home,
right,
in your environment. So of course, so there's white on white crime, there's Latino on Latino. You're going to commit crimes typically amongst the people that you cohabitate with, live near. And so, as you said, a lot of men, in the article I was reading by Ta-Nehisi Coates, someone was saying that prison or being jailed almost becomes this ritual of manhood, because so many people experience it within our community. But it's all by design that we are in these neighborhoods, that we are in this concentrated area of poverty, which I think we talked about. You mentioned on Lessons from the 60s, where, of course, if you are in this environment, like, nigga, get off my shoe, you're hostile. And it's all these different aggregating things that can create that to funnel people into prisons.
Yeah. And also prisons and the prison system helps to create some of the houselessness, some of the poverty, extreme poverty, lack of opportunity, unemployment. Like, the prisons sometimes are the first place, and then the rest of someone's life continues into that, along with the criminalization of substance abuse, drug abuse, which is everywhere it's everywhere. First of all, it's not just even in our communities; it is in everybody's community. Because it is everywhere.
Let me talk about who really doing drugs. If we want to talk about data. Okay.
Everybody, and just the multiple ways around the homelessness, because homelessness is also a man-made problem.
Absolutely.
The homelessness that we have in the U.S., there are places in the world that they do not have this. Right? It's
not allowed. Like, you just can't be, if they were to see people encamping outside because of homelessness, that to them would be alarming.
Yeah.
And not like the norm, and not like get out of the way. I remember, I do property management, and I was working at a property down in downtown Durham, and it was right across from 147, one of the highway exits off of 147. And a young lady, a Black lady, came to the office and said, "What can we do about the homeless people across the street?" Now, you are in an overpriced, gentrified apartment paying about $1,300 a month for a small-ass one-bedroom that you can't even put a dining room table in. And I was so disturbed because I'm like, what are they, an eyesore to, like, literally they're an eyesore to you.
Yeah. And
I was like, the property we manage is the one in which you're standing in. We don't manage across the street.
Right.
And where do you propose that they go? And she was like, I mean, I don't know, but they be out there at night living. And to me, it just showed one of the darkest parts of humanity that we are in. And even how, as Black people who have come from this history that we have, how quickly we can become, how quickly the oppressed can be those that act much like the oppressors.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I ain't got nothing for you, honey.
Yeah.
You know, like, I really don't have much conversation for you right now. But the fact that they had this encampment, I mean, they had a setup. They had some grills out there, some charcoal grills and stuff like that. But the fact that people wanted it to just disappear.
Right.
Not that they be helped, not that they get resources, just make them get further away from me.
Right.
And we've been seeing here recently in our own city of Durham that the police, along with the Heart Association, or I don't know if association is the term for it, Heart Group, which does or was created to do a lot of work to do wellness checks, to be a supportive alternative to policing.
Yeah.
They've teamed up to clear out homeless encampments to remove them from parks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to criminalize them, saying that they were searching for guns and drugs amongst the homeless. Guns aren't cheap. Not to say that nobody, could have had one, but one, people do have a right to firearm, right?
Yeah.
Here in the state of North Carolina.
For sure.
And they zip tied all of these people recently. And it's like, you got 20 police officers on people who have not much to their name besides a bag, a tent. What is going on?
What do you get out of doing that? What do you get out of doing that?
Leo, explain it to us. What's happening? What's the plan, Stan? Because it does nothing to provide resources, and it does everything to criminalize these people, probably in the hopes of funneling them in to jails or prison.
Yeah. Of this study about the criminalization of homelessness, it was 187 cities that was taking into this report. 33% have citywide bans on camping in public. 57% have a ban on camping in specific places. 18% total bans on sleeping in public. 33% city bans on loitering. 53% prohibit sitting and lying in designated zones. And then there's this whole other layer of city planning and infrastructure, like benches and the types of seats and coverings of buildings that are made specifically so that people don't sit down for too long. Like, if you see those benches that are like metal, and then there's like another like handlebar kind of in the middle, and there's no back to the benches. Like, those are literally designed for people to not be able to lay on them or sit on them for a long time. So there's a whole other layer of infrastructure that is contributing to getting rid of or trying to have our houseless neighbors disappear and not be seen in downtown areas or seen just sleeping out, instead of, again, adequately providing resources for people.
Yeah, I'm glad you said the word disappear, because that is ultimately what the prisons are for. It is to disappear an undesirable population. And what our prisons have often been used for is to house political prisoners. These are the people we want to designate them as terrorists. We do it abroad on our military bases. And we do it here domestically to take the undesirables from society, the people that have been abandoned by their government, not given the proper resources, not given what's owed to them. Because once again, I'm here to say it. a government actually owes its citizens things.
Yeah.
Somehow in the massive propaganda, that's like become a debatable thing. But we say all the time, oh, we are a democracy. Yeah, the point of a democracy, well, that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother episode,
right?
actually.
But yeah, next episode, democracy.
Do we have a democracy?
Do we have a democracy? But that citizens are owed things, and so when we see these people who, through poverty and through drug addiction and through all these different things, fall into quote unquote a life of crime, they're the first perpetrator is the government, who has abandoned the responsibility to provide an adequate way of life for citizens. And so in these prisons, we are dealing with some of the worst conditions in the United States and abroad as far as inhumane treatment. And Ta-Nehisi Coates, he has an article or essay called "The Black Family in the Age of Mass Incarceration," and he refers to prisons or our carceral state as the gray waste of our country, these bleak areas. And as we saw during the increase with ICE, there was the prison built in Florida that was called Alligator Alcatraz, right? They built it out in a swamp. It was leaking just as soon as it was built, having water intrusion. And a lot of times these prisons are built in these rural areas where there are not a lot of jobs. And so for Attica, for instance, Attica is about 250 miles away from New York City. And I was reading about how you either could be a dairy farmer or you could be a correctional officer. So you're dealing with rural, racist white people going to police, typically brown and black people.
Yeah.
And so it is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Not for rehabilitation.
Nobody's being rehabilitated by Dan, who could either have milk cows or monitor black people. And of course he's going to choose the latter. And there is no skill, there's no training, there's not enough anything you could do in the world to have prison guards create this humane environments for people. You're locking them in cages that are smaller than the studio we are currently recording in. Some of them often not receiving but an hour or two out of prison cells a day. And then there's solitary confinement, in which some people are completely put in isolation and not allowed out of a even smaller room for sometimes months at a time. And so we have to really face what is going on in our prisons. It becomes something that's easy to ignore, and in ways we justify people deserving it. And, you know, Hakeem Jeffries, should he be in a cell? Sure, you know, but
this is Brittany's arch nemesis.
Okay, you know, should we put him there? Sure, but
okay,
maybe we could put him there. But, you know, we have to understand, particularly as black people, we cannot buy into that is the best we can do. For Hakeem Jeffries and other people who we deem criminals in this society.
There's no reforming prisons.
The inhumanity.
I mean, I support the reforms that are happening.
Absolutely. To shorten solitary confinement, to ban solitary confinement. Even, you know, like with the Attica prison riots of 1971, they were being given one roll of toilet tissue for the month. Like per prisoner a month. Don't let you have bubble guts, which you're getting from the shitty food they're feeding you.
Right.
You know, I went through a roll in a week with my Crohn's flare up. Like, I don't even know if it made it a week. And so reform in some ways is like, okay, give them a whole pack of tissue. But that still does not change the inhumanity that they face in prisons. And how long can you treat someone like an animal? And then they're going to be released. Many of these people are expected to be released into society. How can they adjust and become productive members of society as we would want them to be?
Right.
Under such harsh conditions. And so it has to be said that prisoners have always fought back. Much like when we talk about slavery.
Yeah.
There was hundreds of rebellions that we'll never know about by name as much as we know about Nat Turner's rebellion. But Black people, brown people, oppressed people have always fought back against these conditions. And what's been so detrimental is the disconnect they have from the rest of society to be able to also advocate on their behalf with them, because we just don't see it.
Yeah.
And what's out of your, out of sight, out of mind. And that's once again a huge recipe for disaster.
Yeah. I remember when Orange is the New Black first came out.
Yeah.
It was a moment. People was really into the show,
especially with women,
because it was it was women. It was about the women's facility, and the woman who wrote because it was based on a real life experience. It wasn't based on a full true story, but a lot of the inspiration came from her experience in a women's prison. It helped to highlight just the pervasiveness of the guards and how challenging it is for these women to stay connected to their kids and their families, and just the ins and outs of even being in this now, new community of women that come from all kinds of walks of life. They're trying to make some money while they're in there. And that's a whole nother thing around prison labor, which which we could get into as well.
That's the slavery. That's where the slavery part comes in.
That's where the slavery part comes in, is in the labor. A lot of, there are workers in prison that work for things that you actually have at home and don't get paid, or get paid pennies. 20
cents an hour, 20 cents a day.
A day, yeah.
That's slavery.
It's literally slavery.
Yeah. I think there was a movie. Forrest Whitaker was in it. What's the white guy? Andre. He got the big nose. I'm gonna find it, but pretty much it was based off of a real study that happened where they took these people and simulated a prison situation, and they pretty much picked the most sadistic people in the interviews that they could find that had those tendencies to be the guards. The Experiment. That movie rocked me. Sickened me.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh my God. Traumatized me. And it was an actual experiment. I'm going off the top of my head. I don't remember all the facts of it, but I think it took place in the 1970s, where, like I said, they took this group of people to kind of understand power dynamics and how people who are given power will abuse it, and how people will survive in other circumstances. So once again, they took the people who had all of these angers, frustrations, tendencies, and made them the guards. And then they took the people who were more prone to, listening, following orders, things like that, and made them the prisoners. And it turned out to be a disaster. In the end, the people who were deemed the prisoners did rebel, and I believe people were harmed or killed in this experiment. And so the experiment obviously went terribly wrong, as they expected, but somewhat wrong, and had to be shut down. So I'm saying this very loosely from the details I remember about it. But that's what you find. Like I say, you got these poor rural people working in areas they don't have much else to aspire to. And then they're given this position of power. Yeah. And so a lot of, like I say, what we see with the prison guards, the abuse, the sexual abuse, the physical abuse. So one of the books I have with me is Soledad Brothers by George Jackson, which, if you know Black August, you must know Brother George Jackson. He was murdered, assassinated in prison in August of 1971. And about 2 weeks later, the Attica prison riots broke out. And part of that was these ongoing tensions. And then when George Jackson was killed, they were like, fuck it, let's go. let's get it.
Yeah.
Because the revolution is coming.
Yeah.
And honestly, we just can't take it. Like, if they're going to shoot him down in the prison and say, oh, he was trying to escape, you know, we know what's coming next for us.
Yeah.
And it is reading his letters. Not only does he have these really wonderful letters about imperialism, fascism, revolution, you really just see how lonely he was, how he was battling every single day to keep his sanity. He was locked up when he was, I believe, 18 years old, and he was given a sentence of 1 year to life. So no real cap on it, for, I think, robbing a gas station. And he spent his entire, the remainder of his life incarcerated, and made this huge impact through organizing in the prison, becoming inspired by the Black Panther Party. His brother was killed in a police standoff for trying to free prisoners as well. And so George Jackson's letters just showed the mind of someone who was learning and growing, and in ways rehabilitating himself through knowledge, not through the prison system, but also battling this gray waste area that he was pretty much left to rot in.
Yeah. And just thinking about, again, this thread of prisons not being places of rehabilitation, and that they contribute to people staying in them, right? Again, this distance that you have from the rest of society, the lack of resources, opportunities to learn a trade, like those programs consistently being cut. If they had anything to offer for the people that are in there to prepare themselves for the outside world, a lot of those programs are increasingly being defunded. The increase in the funding of criminalizing people, expansion of prisons, is also in the expansion of police. So we can take a look at the 1994 crime bill. It was authored by Joe Biden.
Joey. Sleepy Joe. He was awake then.
Okay, and serious about it. Okay, so authored the 1994 crime bill. It was put into, its final stages by President Bill Clinton, and it's a large bill. One of the main things is the COPS program, which put millions, if not billions of dollars into hiring new police officers across the country. Over 100,000 new cops were meant to be on the streets following this bill. So that includes those school resource officers or school police that we had. Again, like I think I said this on the Abolition Now episode, our parents did not grow up with cops in the schools. We did.
Yeah.
And that is from the 1994 crime bill. That is where that funding came from, this idea of cops kind of being everywhere.
Yeah, and this was, speaking of Biden and Clinton being the authors and the executors of it, is that this was the Democrats' effort to show we are just as tough on crime as the Republicans. This was them saying we are not going to be branded to be too progressive. We know how to crack a nigga's head open too. Right? And we'll do it.
We'll
lock their asses up. Actually, let's
lock them up.
Lock them up. Let's increase sentencing. This is where we saw a lot of mandatory minimums being issued out. And so,
and 3 strikes.
I beg of my Black people still holding on to liberalism. God, it's not my opinion, y'all. I'm not a leftist because I like to be different. The National Democratic Party, and let me be very intentional about saying the national, because we know local Democrats, we know state Democrats that are actually progressive and doing the work to try to improve communities. But the National Democratic Party is an op.
Yeah.
And they are more of a centrist party. And being in the center of America is being close to Crackerville. Like, that's a rough place. The center is crackiness. The center to what?
Yeah.
So
yeah. and it's again kind of going back to the conversation with Dan. The first question is, do you have an imagination? What else could be brought into a plan that isn't adding to the prison system, that isn't calling for sentencing and convictions and people seeing their day in court, because it doesn't actually contribute to our society. It only contributes to capital. And we have to be, for us as a generation, have to be the ones that really call it into question. I mean, we will hope that our elders are doing that. And a lot of them have done a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work. Like the movement around freeing our political prisoners is still alive and well. And free them all.
For every one of them.
Free them all. You know, when I think about, for instance, VAWA, that was also part of the 94 crime bill, the Violence Against Women Act, that really tried to address domestic violence. But we said this in the My Body, My Choice episode, that so much of that movement, the anti-violence movement that was being led by Black feminists, the best solution, the highest solution was quote unquote accountability for the abusers, accountability for the sexual assaulters and the domestic assaulters. And that's where it stopped.
Yeah.
That's where it stopped. And now we can look, 1994 was 30 plus years ago. And here we still are. Here we still are with high percentage of our people being incarcerated, of Black and brown people being incarcerated, consistent increase in the amount of Black women also that are being incarcerated from 1980 to now. It's a huge percentage jump. And there's still not enough solutions. And you can tell when you look at the amount of states, you can just look at the amount of states that have built prisons
versus schools.
Versus universities and schools. It's almost double in most states. In North Carolina, when you look at the amount of new prisons and the amount of new colleges, it is double the amount of prisons than colleges.
And that's where we invest money from. Like Coates talks about in his article how there's this whole class of citizens created in the prison world. And we pretty much, he didn't use the term socialism, but they get education, they get health care, they get all these free things, or not free, quote unquote, but the government provided resources. But why not just provide those resources before prison? Right? Now you can get free health care in prison. You can get an education in some prisons in prison. Yeah. You can get dental work. You can get all these housing in prison.
I mean, some people go to prison purposely
to be
just to get somewhere inside,
to get a taste of socialism,
to go inside and go to sleep.
Yeah. And there was in the 1990s this effort of defunding the prison education systems. There was an act called the No Frills Prison Act, which sought to end luxurious conditions in prison. No frills
is crazy.
No frills.
Like this a damn resort.
Yeah, quote unquote luxurious conditions in prison. South Carolina took up the head for that. And they cut back on their education programs. They banned air conditioners in South Carolina and ended sports programs.
That sounds a lot like slavery to me.
Hello, you're intentionally torturing these people.
Yeah.
And so
the amount of medical neglect, like literally people are dying from going to prison.
Yeah, I saw an article yesterday where a guy just won a $300 million settlement. He's formerly incarcerated because he was denied a $1,000 procedure that caused severe health issues. And then he was now able to sue in civil courts for that neglect that's going on. And so when we know that that's going on, it has to be a part of our politics. You have to look at prison abolition as one of the things you require from someone who wants to be in a position to lead you. Litmus test. How do you feel about reparations? How do you feel about prisons?
Right.
And once again, I think Dan, like I said, Dan made some fair questions. He didn't have an answer in sight, but he did have a couple questions about vision. What do we do? And there's actually people out here who can tell you at length about the things that we can do. Once again, leaning on other societies, what they do. I believe it was Sweden. I saw in their prison systems, their prisoners are in rooms, dignified rooms, right? So this is a level of reform, not quite full abolition, but it is a program set up for them to be rehabilitated. They are given real food. They have goals that they should be trying to meet, educational goals, trade goals. And these things were incorporated at one point in certain prisons. To be able to say, okay, when you get out of society, now you're being set up to re-enter it. But there's things that we can do just outside of locking people up. Yeah. Particularly when we're talking about nonviolent offenses.
And a lot of times people want to hear an answer.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, and I've said this before, the prison system that we have and the way that we go about it in this country, it's not a problem that has a solution. It is a contradiction of the way that our society has been built that requires lots of solutions. It is navigating it constantly. We're constantly navigating it, whether it's someone in our family, whether it's with the police, whether it's what is deemed a crime or not, who gets arrested, who doesn't, who gets targeted and who doesn't for a lot of the same crimes, who receives resources when they get out and who don't. And we have to be expansive and imaginative about what do we do with the quote unquote with the rapists and with the killers, because those motherfuckers are out here.
They are.
Something needs to be done.
It is.
But unfortunately, our prison system is not the solution, as we have seen.
Yeah, it doesn't deter people from entering.
We still produce more serial killers in this country than anywhere else, and we have one of the most mass prison systems. So those things are not. You can't have both and one equal the other. It's not a solution.
Yeah. I think because we are so ingrained in the ideal of this or that.
Yeah.
Once again, going back to the false binary, it has to be, well, if we don't have this, then what are we going to have that? And there's so much in between that we can have. And there's so many situational things. But being revolutionary is about having the audacity to even believe that there is something more than what we are already experiencing. Yeah. And what I find is that when I talk to people about revolution, they like, oh, once again, I'm talking folklore or something to them. I'm talking mythology. And it's about knowing and understanding that we didn't always have this. Literally. Right? Yeah. Mass incarceration started in the 70s following the civil rights era. So we can have something else.
Yeah, they have always had black people up in them prisons from the jump.
Chain gangs and all. Now, as soon as those walls were built, we was in them.
They had to
actually we helped build the wall. we built the first prisons here in America. They made us build it and then go right in it. Yeah, go right in it. Right.
They said, "Oh, you built it. Thank you. Now you unemployed. Get your ass in there."
Yeah,
because now you loitering.
Well, actually, you're fired. Now you're unemployed. Now you got to get up. Now you got to get up in there. Yeah. And so
I'm glad you built your home.
Right. And the moment the trick of the enemy worked for us is when we said, yeah, them niggas need to be up in there. Because you are the niggas that they intend to put there too if you step out of line.
Right. You saying who else need to be in there, they saying your ass need to be in there.
I need to watch it because me and Hakeem might both be in the damn cell like, well. You stepped out of line too, huh? Yeah.
Darnell, that's you.
No, Hakeem. No, so I need to relax. I might end up in there for talking shit about him. Let me watch it. Yeah. So once again, we have to honor our political prisoners who have been in there since the civil rights era. So many did not make it to this point of 2026, and some are still alive and well and doing the work to educate us about why we should be prison abolitionists, why we should end the death penalty.
Yeah.
Once again, that penalty was meant for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be said.
I mean, and it's like sometimes I'll talk to my comrades, and not everybody is fundamentally a prison abolitionist. And it's a constant conversation for you to be in. It's not necessarily a title to bestow upon yourself.
Yeah.
It is a process. It's a way of thinking about us, our people, thinking about the system, thinking about who deserves and who doesn't, but also who deserves punishment and who doesn't. And punishment, consequences, those things are two different things. You can be held accountable and receive consequences and it not be punishment that impacts the direction of the rest of your life. But there are lots of ways that people can be held accountable. I would consider myself to be a abolitionist of prisons, because I'm also doing the work of developing new ways of dealing with crime, violence, safety that don't involve armed police, because they don't actually help in those instances. They just respond. That is what they are created to do, to respond to issues of whatever the system deems as a crime or unsafe, or people that just shouldn't be here.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have to see what alternatives look like.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they have to see
it
in action. So when we do have heart, when they're not doing the things that Leo's got them doing lately.
Here's what heart is.
Yeah.
Heart is a city program in Durham. It is under the Community Safety Department. And the Community Safety Department was created in response to an organizing effort of Durham Beyond Policing and many other groups that were trying to really push our city to do less policing, essentially, in a lot of different ways, not just in imprisonment, but also in its relationship to Israeli Defense Force, also to paying city workers a livable wage. So that's all of the work of being, of prison abolition. It isn't just actually about the prisons itself. It's also about what are the opportunities and resources that our government should be providing for people to avoid prison. And HEART, which stands for Holistic Emergency Action Response Teams, Holistic Empathic Action Response Teams, but it is not under the police department, and it is a new program. I think it only started in 2023.
Yeah.
And it was originally only available downtown. So they would kind of respond a lot of the times was to our unhoused neighbors, sleeping in front of the entryways of local businesses, or someone having a mental break. And HEART could be called on instead of the police to support the people. As it's gone, and that the program, just to be clear, was also written by residents of Durham. It wasn't written by some scholarly research people that don't live in the city. It wasn't a consultant firm that the city got into a contract with to create this. It was regular people. It was residents that really cared about creating some alternatives to policing. And so many people, once the jobs was available to work for HEART, people were flocking to those jobs.
Yeah.
We have so many vacant jobs at our police department, more than we have at the HEART. So that just shows the type of demand around people really wanting to get into what are alternatives. Unfortunately, the program is not as distant from working with the police department as I would want it to be.
Yeah. I've seen them respond to a wellness check, and they came and the police came, but they led the way as far as entering the home to be able to check on the individual so that they're not greeted by someone with a gun on their hip. So the police were, outside of the home if it obviously would have turned into some type of like finding a body or some incident of that sort. But seeing them both show up, I was like, okay, but I did appreciate Heart going in. And I think it's a great organization. I think it's something that people need to actually see in work.
Yeah.
To say, okay, this is what it could be. Because we have a lot of people who are dealing with drug addiction and therefore sometimes the following mental disorders that could have preceded it or come afterwards. Yeah. And they deserve to be handled with dignity. Yeah. And not incarcerated or jailed because they are an addict. Yeah. So the work of everyone, the work of all of us who are concerned and like you say, can call ourselves or consider ourselves to believe in abolition is to, one, have the imagination, and then two, think about the ways in which on a small scale, like I say, obviously it's 2 million people incarcerated in America. There is no one solution with what to do with 2 million people and those that are set to become a part of that population. Exactly. But you can always start in a local aspect, and it really comes to stopping crime before it starts. And that's not through scaring people with jail time. It's by investing in our children, in our communities, and being there to create these spaces where people can have something else to do besides fall into the traps that are literally set for them. Yeah.
And so much of our country is built on the prison system, is built on this capitalist criminal justice system. Yeah. And it's really difficult to escape it. And we can't just look at, well, I made it out, or I didn't do this, and well, they had the opportunity to, it's this it tends to end up being, like you said before, this very narrow, individualistic look on it. But if we just zoom out a bit, just a little bit of a zoom out, we can recognize that, like, I don't want the future generations growing up in this prison system that exists. The school to prison pipeline, that is a new thing. Yeah. That did not exist in our parents' generation. It exists in our generation. And we can't just be like, oh, well, this is just what it is. This is how it is. Like, no, part of our work, part of the responsibility of our generation, Wretched of the Earth, Fanon, he talks about the role of each generation. And I think it's imperative for us to be just a little bit more critical about the system that we're in and how it is set up. Again, it is no coincidence that there are double the amount of prisons to the amount of schools and universities. Yeah. It is easier to have access to actually go to a prison than it is to get an opportunity to get a degree. Not even it don't even have to be a university. Community colleges. Yeah. Motherfuckers is not building new community colleges.
You can be 16 years old trying to get into a college, and you have to go through so many things to be able to start college early at 16. Different programs. Yeah. But if you're 16 and you make a very bad decision, they will try you as an adult and lock you up for 25 years.
And that's it.
That's it. For you. And so, yeah, it's easy. And it all goes back to, once again, racialized capitalism. They need these prisons to be able to say, you know what, if you don't act right, if you don't follow the program,
they got to justify it. Yeah,
we got a place for you. Do you want to be, you seen Cops, and they got all this propaganda, and they got all the shows where you can see prisons, and it's the sociopaths banging on the walls and all of that, which George Jackson talks about. Like, it's a rough place. Yeah. And they keep that there to say, stay in line.
Scare straight.
Literally. That was for everybody, not just for the juveniles. Stay in line, or that is where you can be. So if we want whatever liberation looks like for us in our minds and our imaginations, the prisons can't be there.
Yeah, more resources are needed.
The prisons can't be there. If we're going to fight for the revolution, we got to go let the soldiers out.
Yeah,
we got to go
first thing.
We got to go get the soldiers.
We got to free our political prisoners.
Yeah.
Oh, one organization that I did want to give a shout out to is Critical Resistance. It's an organization that came around in 1997 and really challenges the idea that imprisonment and policing are a solution for social, political, economic problems. And they have been active throughout these years, really supporting major cases of wrongly convicted individuals, bringing people together to do more political education around our prison system and what does a world without prisons really look like. They're very active in California and on the West Coast. They have some chapters throughout the world, but and they're pretty much all, they're not like big foundation funded organizations. A lot of them it's very, very grassroots, and they provide conferences and they have people write letters to folks in prison and set up all kinds of things. So I just want to give a shout out to Critical Resistance and all the work that they've been doing over the decades. Y'all support them. I will attach their website to the description notes.
Yeah. And we'll go over our books as we're wrapping it up. I brought 4 books with me. Once again, in talking about, creating or expanding that imagination and really understanding the conditions in our prisons, I think the best thing to do is listen to the voice of prisoners. And so, the shows we watch, and I think it's important to see things. We are a very visual species. But really to just read about the conditions, I don't think that you could really read the story of a prisoner and not, hopefully you don't walk away in some way changed to say there has to be something more that we can do for these humans, right? So I have A Soldier's Story by Kawasi Balagoon. This is the revolutionary writings of a new African anarchist. He was an organizer, started off as a tenant organizer in New York. He was a soldier in the U.S. military, and he eventually joined the Black Panther Party, and then he was eventually in the Black Liberation Army.
Yeah, we talked about him on the Black Queer episode.
So, yes, and he was a part of the Panther 21 with Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mother. But yeah, he was a master prison escaper. Okay. He escaped prison multiple times and allegedly helped Assata Shakur. But he even escaped a maximum security prison, but he was an anarchist, and just wonderful writings about the true left, organizing, resistance, armed resistance. He loved to blow some shit up. All right, next book I have, Freedom is a Constant Struggle. Okay, this is by Angela Davis.
It's a goodie.
It's a real goodie. From Ferguson to Palestine and the Foundations of a Movement. So it's a short book, a couple different essays. Check that one out. And then I mentioned I have 8 years. What is it? We Were 8 Years in Power by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And he has that essay on the Black family in the age of incarceration. A wonderful essay. Of course, he takes it all the way back to the structures that were trying to, prior to Richard Nixon, come in and establish, like, what do we do with this criminal element, all the way up into accounts from prisoners. And then, of course, I have Soledad Brother by George Jackson. So those are some goodies. Check them out.
Yeah. I have with me, like I said before, The End of Policing by Alex Vitale. I have The Fertile Prison, which is about Fidel Castro and Batista's jail. So this is pre-Cuban Revolution, but this really in the prison was where he like developed a lot of the skills and a lot of the people that went with him to lead the Cuban Revolution. So just getting a chance to like hear about the prisons and the prison system in another country pre their revolution. And then I have 2 books that are by the homies that I want to give a shout out to. One is Becoming Abolitionist. One is Becoming Abolitionist by Derica Purnell. And she kind of talks about her upbringing and kind of how her experience growing up and as a Black girl in St. Louis, and how that kind of basically kind of expanded her questioning around policing and police, and how her work in activism also really led her to question the role of police and prisons in our society. There's another book, Beyond Policing, by Philip McHarris. He's a professor out in Rochester, New York. This is a fairly new book, but shout out to both of them, who are, comrades that I appreciate and that are super smart, that have learned and studied about the role of policing in prisons and how we can really imagine something new. There are books where people are envisioning and proposing something new in our society. And again, not to say that it'll be fixed in one day or even in one generation. But it's a process. And then I also wanted to add Wartime, which is the fall 2025 issue by Black Men Build. So shout out to Black Men Build. They have a publication that comes out, I think, quarterly or something. And this particular one has a lot about Malcolm X is one of the highlights.
My boy.
Your fave.
Look what happened with him in prison, I mean, it was a transformative period. And it can be. Yeah. But there's other ways we could transform our young men and women.
For sure.
Outside of that. Thanks for being with us this episode. I don't know if people are able to scream us in prison. We got to find a way for our people to hear us.
We do.
On the other side of the wall.
Yeah, we do.
If they're able to get an episode, keep your heads up. I mean, let's remember that people deserve dignity. And we all are under this corrupt cracker system. So I just, for the people who are incarcerated and who are maybe newly released, I hope that there's support and systems that allow you all to feel your full humanity and dignity again. And y'all. Yeah. The walls got to come down.
Yeah. Please share with the people that you know and love. Comment, like, share, subscribe. We are on YouTube. We have our Patreon, and we are on Amazon, Spotify, Apple, all of the places where you can listen to podcasts. Please continue to support our work so we can get this good propaganda out to the people. Thank y'all so much.